mean one thing. It's the Natty Bros podcast. Hello, we're coming to you live on a Wednesday night, and that can only mean one thing. It's the Natty Bros podcast. I'm Zach Brooks.
And I'm Anthony D'Angelo. Coming up on the pod, jump in the pool with your bros. We've got division winners, franchise rankings, 300 sandwiches, and so much more on this episode, Natty Bros podcast. Zach, it seems like it's been forever, but then again, it seems like after every podcast, it's been forever. So.
Yeah, it actually has been a pretty long time, though. This is maybe our biggest layoff that we've had. We apologize, but not that much.
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
People are craving the bros. And we're here to deliver.
We've gotten at least like one tweet asking when our next podcast is.
God. And it was from me. It was a tweet from me.
You tweeted too at Natty Brohs, actually.
I did, which you can follow us at Natty Brohs. You can subscribe to us on iTunes by visiting our website, nattybros.com. And you can tell your friends.
Yeah. And we're going to make up for this long layoff because we have a lot of pods on the agenda.
It is, when we go through a period of time where we're not podcasting, we're not sitting back, drinking a few beers and laughing and enjoying ourselves. We are working hard to bring you the entertainment that you deserve. We are not the podcasters you wait, hon. What is it? We're the podcasters you deserve, not the podcasters you need.
I thought want was in there somewhere.
Want?
We're the podcasters you get, not the ones you want, maybe.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't know. If Bruce Wayne is out there, just tweet at us at Natty Bros. Let us know what that line is.
Or Mac, if Mac is out there, please.
Or Mac. Speaking of Mac, next week, me and you and Mac. Like that 80s movie, Me and Mac, with you added in there.
Yeah.
Or Mac and me. We're on a roll. We are going to do our first ever fall movie something podcast.
Preview. Yeah.
Preview podcast. Maybe power rankings?
Ooh, I hope so.
Maybe a little top movies we want to see list.
Oh, God.
Because the fall movies look great.
I'll tell you what, I feel like there's been a couple months here where there's just been absolutely nothing out. The last movie I saw was The World's End, which was such a strange movie. It was an odd movie. Very, very strange.
I just went and saw something. I saw Elysium recently. That was my last movie.
Yeah, well, I almost went to see that, but it was either see like a 10 o'clock, and it was on a weekday. It was either see like a 10 o'clock showing of World's End or like an 11:15 of Elysium. It's like, I just kind of want to see a movie now. So I saw World's End.
Elysium was good until the last 10 minutes, I would say. It's worth checking out when it gets out on demand or Blu-ray or something. But don't go spend your hard-earned money to see it in the theater. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But we are hitting the ground running with good movies. Starting last weekend, Prisoners came out, which looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much holding my breath until Gravity comes out, and I think that may be the first movie in a while that I'm going to see opening weekend. I just like that to me just seems like such a different movie, right? And especially it just seems that there's been a lot of drivel that's come out, in the last couple months. I mean, it's been all downhill since Pacific Rim, but I mean, this just looks good.
We are back uphill though very soon.
Yeah, and a lot of T. Hanks movies.
Yeah,
and two, but that's enough for me.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
two more than I've had in a while.
Yeah, hell yeah, in fact.
Yeah, so we will have our buddy Mac on, who has been dying to get on a podcast, and he knows his movies. He's going to put us to shame.
Yeah. Yeah, he's also better looking and funnier than us. So, don't fall in love too quickly, ladies.
Don't start listening to the Natty Mac.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night, you will not be with us because you are not addicted to meth television. But I will be live with Brendan, our loyal listener who's been on the Star Wars podcast and once or twice else, and we will be previewing the finale of Breaking Bad this weekend.
Yeah.
We will be going through the 5 most essential Breaking Bad episodes.
Ooh.
That is our
now,
format.
Are you going to be going through them, or are you going to be power ranking them?
No, we're not going to. I mean, we might rank them a little bit, but it'll be more like we're just going to give the list of if. So we're going to do the podcast tomorrow night, which is Thursday.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have from when we finish recording Thursday night until Sunday night, we're going to say if you have time to watch 5 Breaking Bad episodes, if you've seen them all, and you can watch 5 Breaking Bad episodes to get ready for the finale, these are the 5 we think you should watch.
I like it. Yeah. I like that a lot.
And the Breaking Bad marathon actually started at 8 o'clock, so if you haven't watched it and you want to call in sick for the next 3 days and just watch AMC straight through until Sunday, I recommend it.
Yeah. Also, you're probably freaking nuts if you're going to do that. So, whatever. But tell your friends, Breaking Bad Brews tomorrow night.
Ooh,
it's going down, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to be live on YouTube. You can find a link to my YouTube page, which is where all these podcasts are posted.
Yeah.
I think it might be youtube.com/BrooksZA, just like my Twitter handle. And subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes. Check out the new About Us section on the website. We just updated that. You
can find out about us.
Yeah, all about us. How else can you reach us? Email, Natty Brohs podcast at gmail.com.
Or Snapchat. Snapchat us, or you could just come to Washington D.C. or Las Vegas, respectively, and buy us drinks.
That sounds good.
Let's dig in right into the first topic here. We had initially intended on talking about a little NFL, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit, but I've got to say. I get ESPN the Magazine. I think it's because I pay $2 a month to be an ESPN insider, which is
Do you use ESPN Insider?
I do, yeah.
Because I have ESPN Insider thanks to your ESPN the magazines that used to come to the house, and I don't ever read any insider articles. I don't really go to ESPN for my news that much. I don't say that stuff all the time, but like,
when I was much more intensely involved in fantasy sports, I would use it a lot more. I feel like I don't use it as much, but for $2 a month, what do I care? Like, if it means that I can read a couple extra articles a month, it's worth it. It's fine with me. Like, if it's something I pay for and I forget about. Whatevs. It's no big deal. But anyway, so the issue for this month, they usually have themed issues, but it's the franchise issue. It's got a big picture of Cam Newton on it. Pick it up at newsstands today. But the whole basis of not the entire issue, but of the franchise issue, is they ranked U.S. sports franchises from 1 to 122. So, and I'll just let me find this real quick here. I'll read some of their.
So 122, that includes NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball.
Yes, they did not include Major League Soccer, which I'll go on a very short rant about. ESPN has invested in soccer. Right, I would, to some extent, I would understand if ESPN was a brand that did not invest in soccer. Right, they have bought the rights to, they show a lot of MLS games. They're going to show the World Cup. They show a lot of, a lot of World Cup qualifiers games. Up until this year, they were the home for English Premier League. Now it's on NBC. But it's not like they haven't shown an interest in soccer. It's not like they haven't invested in soccer. Yet for some reason, they decided to exclude MLS which on average gets a higher attendance per game than NBA and NHL from this list. So I don't really understand that. I don't understand why you would exclude a major sports league when, I mean, look, is it as big as the NFL? No. As big as baseball? No. As big as the NBA? No. But it's on. I would say it's on par with the NHL. I mean, I would definitely say it's on par with the
I
NHL.
feel like historically, though, the NHL has a lot more of a connection
Well,
as
sure, because
one of the major four sports.
because there's more history behind the NHL,
Right,
right?
right.
Because I mean, like MLS has only been around since 1996, so of course historically there's been more of a connection. But if you're gonna rank major sports franchises, why would you ignore a major sports league?
I think, for two reasons. I think, we're still in this culture shift over to soccer being one of the major American sports. It is big, it's growing by a lot, and I think in 2 years you do see MLS in there. I just don't think it's quite there yet, to the point where even though ESPN covers it, ESPN covers a lot of things that weren't included in this list, and I just don't think that it's quite there where it's one of the top sports. The other reason is then you're ranking, instead of 122, you're ranking 150, 160 franchises. That makes it a much bigger list. More pages to print.
Yeah, I'm not entirely buying that. I mean, I think so. You add 19 more teams to your list. Like to me that's not a very heavy lift. I think that. I mean, look, I just don't understand it. And frankly, I mean, what other major sports league was left out of this? I mean, there aren't any, right? Like, are you include arena football? Are you gonna include like professional lacrosse?
No, but ESPN
Like,
covers NASCAR a lot. I'd say
yeah,
they cover NASCAR as much as they cover MLS.
yeah, but NASCAR doesn't have teams, right? They don't have franchises.
I think don't they have teams?
Well, I mean, it's weird because like drivers are part of teams, but the brand is still the driver, right? So like, yeah, you can be on like Joe Gibbs had a racing team, right? But like you don't root for the Joe Gibbs racing team. Like you root for Kevin Harvick or Jeff Gordon or Dale Earnhardt Jr. Like, so I mean, to a certain extent, the individual is the franchise, but it's really hard to kind of gauge an individual, right? Also, there aren't like a set number of NASCAR drivers, right? There are drivers that kind of come in and out of NASCAR, but there are a set number of MLS teams, and MLS is a league with franchises. There's no other league that was excluded from this list, and for some reason MLS was. And again, at a time when and you're right. Look, I mean, we are. It has been less than 20 years since MLS has come into existence, and we are seeing it growing by leaps and bounds every single year. I just don't understand why you would exclude a franchise like the Seattle Sounders that has like, I don't know, 30,000 season ticket holders that come to games every single game, and include a franchise like the Miami Marlins that is lucky to get 8,000 people at a game, like, and when has been recognized as one of the worst run franchises in sports. To me, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think that, I think there's, I don't know, I can see why they didn't include it. I think if you watch ESPN, if you watch an episode of SportsCenter, you just don't see MLS on there. MLS hasn't completely permeated ESPN's kind of top tier yet. They are covered on ESPN, but I use the NASCAR comparison because I think they're similar in terms of what tier ESPN puts them on.
Sure.
I think that the NFL, NBA for ESPN are the 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and probably baseball is like 1A. The NHL is just below that, and then I would say you've got MLS and NASCAR and tennis
Yeah.
and some of these other sports.
Well,
Now, what I think they could have done, if they didn't want to include them in the main 4 power rankings, or rankings, whatever you want to call it, they
yeah.
could have done a separate box and ranked just the MLS franchises.
I mean, this is the thing. A cursory mention of MLS would have been fantastic, right? But the simple fact of the matter is, like, ESPN has an entire daily show called ESPN FC that's dedicated to soccer. Now, granted, it's not all MLS. It's it's European and it's everywhere else. But still, like, you have created a show. Like, look, NBC Sports Network, Fox Sports, and ESPN all have, I think, nightly shows about soccer, right? I mean, there are 3 sports networks that have shows about this sport. So just ignore it, and your franchise issue just seems a little antiquated to me. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
So,
think the business of magazines is antiquated, so.
ah, touche. Well, what's enough about my rant there. Let's get into the actual rankings. So they what they did was they surveyed over 1,000 sports fans, quote, to determine what they want most in return for the emotion, money, and time they invest in their favorite clubs. Our poll covered 25 topics, from has likable players to provides an avenue for fans to give feedback for the franchise.
Customer service.
Precisely. So let's run through. I'll run through the top 10. There are 122 listed. 1 was the Memphis Grizzlies. 2 was San Antonio Spurs. 3 the Indiana Pacers. 4 the Oklahoma City Thunder. 5 the Green Bay Packers. 6 the Arizona Diamondbacks. 7 the Pittsburgh Penguins. 8 the Anaheim Ducks. 9 the Ottawa Senators. And 10 the Baltimore Ravens. So there's something that jumps out at me right off the bat.
There's 2 things that jump out at me.
Okay.
The first is there's a lot of NBA, especially in the top 5.
Yeah, the top 4 NBA teams.
Yeah. Number 2 is the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second thing for me is that these are all pretty much small market teams, right?
That too.
Memphis, San Antonio. Look, I mean, San Antonio is it's their only sports franchise, right? Indiana, Oklahoma City, Green Bay. Like, what we're not talking about? We're not talking about LA. We're not talking about Chicago. We're not talking about New York, right? So, and in fact, you have to go down to number 14 of the Chicago Blackhawks before you get to any of those 3 big cities. You don't have Boston in there.
What's the highest rated Boston team, if you can find it quickly?
Which I cannot find that quickly. The Boston Celtics at 45. Yeah.
I mean, I think the interesting thing we're looking at here is we're not looking at who's the best franchise in terms of wins or in terms of talent. They're kind of looking at this in like a Natty Brohs perspective. They're looking at it from the fan experience. So things like affordable ticket prices, an ownership that you like, the stadium experience, fan relations. And I don't know. I've never been to an Oklahoma City Thunder game. I've never been to a Memphis Grizzlies game. I have seen on TV that those franchises have it looks like a great fan experience. It's like when you go to those games, it's like going to a college game. You're standing the whole time, you're cheering, you're yelling. There's matching shirts.
Well, so the things that they pulled on, and you hit the nail on the head on some of these. Title track, so champions won are expected within the lifetime of current fans. Ownership, coaching, players, fan relations, affordability, stadium experience, and bang for the buck, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, we're talking about, what is it, um, you know, the entire package of being a fan,
The
right?
entire package.
So, I guess my question is, you know, think about the teams that you've now. The Detroit Red Wings are number 13 on this list, right? We'll just, we'll let me see if I can find the Detroit teams real quick. The Red Wings are at 13. The Let's see here. Where are the Tigers? Um, the Pistons are at 84. Um, they may have actually. The Lions are at 111. That didn't surprise me.
I mean, fan experience for the Lions. It's getting better, but still not great.
Yeah, I'm not even seeing the Tigers, which is surprising because I would
I
figure
would
that
think they would be one of the higher rated teams. Maybe the Red Wings, but
and the Tigers are at 22nd. So I feel like Detroit's actually doing pretty well for themselves there, right? You've got 13 and 22. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on some of these rankings? Like, do you know, do you think, like, as like a Tigers or a Red Wings fan, like, do you think that those placements are pretty accurate?
I've never actually been to a Red Wings game.
Yeah,
But I know, I mean, my friends who are Red Wings fans are diehard, and I follow them during the playoffs. But just sports bandwidth, I just don't have time to watch all the Red Wings games. But
yeah.
they always look like a great time. I would go to a game. I just haven't had a chance. I think the Tigers are always a great experience. I wonder with some of these teams if things like affordability, because there's so many games, tickets are just naturally cheaper. So, of course it's more affordable to go to an NBA game than it is to go to an NFL game. To
Yeah.
rent a 1 out of 82 versus 1 out of 16.
Well, and that's, I mean, and that's obviously why the Packers are so kind of high up there, right? Like, I also think it's interesting. You look, well, I guess, you know,
The Packers are so different than any other NFL team,
yeah.
though. They're community owned. They've got some of the best fans. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the Packers.
I mean, and I don't like them as a Bears fan, but I mean, I think they're far different from almost any other American sports franchise. Like the feel of the Packers seems a bit more European in that it's community invested, right? It is a community team, and it's not. It's almost non-corporate in a sense, right? I mean, another thing that I think is somewhat interesting is, I think if you were to rank, the top sports towns or top sports cities in America, I don't necessarily know if I would include Memphis, San Antonio, or Indianapolis in that list.
Well, and I think, you hit the nail on the head with that earlier, where you said most of the teams are from one sports cities.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Memphis has multiple teams, but like, San Antonio only has one really, and like, these are small markets that they don't have four teams. They don't have an NHL, MLB. They don't have all these other teams.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the only other team that Indianapolis has is the Colts, right? I mean, they have a AAA baseball team, which doesn't count, and they don't have an NHL team, and they don't have an MLS team. So, when there's basketball on, people focus on the Pacers. When there's football on, it's the Colts. So,
and a lot of these towns do have big colleges, or at least big college programs near them. The Spurs have University of Texas. The Pacers have Indiana and Purdue.
yeah.
Memphis has University of Memphis. So you do have that. One team that I'm surprised isn't on the list, and I bet that they were on there a couple years ago, is the Golden State Warriors.
Well, they're at 32.
That seems real low to me.
Yeah, because it seems like during basketball season, one of the things that I would hear constantly is, oh, like this is just such a hard place to play because like the atmosphere at Warriors games is so different from almost any other stadium. Um, but yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Yeah, I'm
I
surprised.
bet you that ranking will shoot way up when they move to San Francisco in a year or two, and they get that new
Totally,
stadium.
totally. Well, let's look at some of the bottom feeders here. Um, the bottom five. You get the Phoenix Suns, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, I mean, hell, let's start a little bit above that. Let's start at at 111. Detroit Lions, Chicago Cubs, the Washington Wizards, Milwaukee Bucks, San Diego Chargers, Oakland Raiders, Houston Astros, Phoenix Suns, Toronto Maple Leafs, Miami Marlins, New York Jets, and Sacramento Kings.
How are the Marlins not the last team?
You know what? I really have no idea. Like the Marlins, if they are not the worst run franchise in sports, I just do not get it. First of all, Miami shouldn't have a baseball team. They just shouldn't. They don't deserve to. They like pick that team up, take it somewhere else, or just get rid of it. But I mean, it is what the Marlins have done to the city of Miami in forcing them to spend a lot of taxpayer dollars to build a new stadium that gets absolutely no use. And what Jeffrey Loria does to, I mean, I forget where I was reading this, but there was an article about how like he's making like day-to-day adjustments to the baseball team. Like he's like changing pitching lineups and stuff. Like he's treating it like it's his own fantasy, baseball team, which is insane. It's absolutely insane.
Did you see that Onion article earlier today? And it was the Onion article was about the team being motivated by the reading of their contractual obligations to be members of the team.
No, but that's pretty much all the Marlins have. I mean, they brought in Ozzie last year. They brought in all these big players, and they got rid of him. I mean, I don't know. I just think they're awful. I mean, the Jets.
Hey, the Jets are 2-1. And the Jets have a pretty exciting young quarterback that's not named Mark Sanchez or Tim Tebow.
Or Tim Tebow.
Or Brett Favre.
Yeah.
They have like the first like interesting quarterback in a while. These rankings also came out before football season started. I think the Raiders are ranked too low. I think the Raiders are ranked way too low. Those fans seem to love that team, the ones who go.
Yeah. I mean, like this is the thing. Like I feel like I mean perhaps there's just a certain amount of self-loathing that's I don't know. It's kind of weird.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't think you said them.
No, where in the hell are they?
I mean, unless they have some really good. I mean, maybe they have super low ticket prices, and that gave them some points.
Yeah, they're at 75. They're 2 spots above the LA Lakers. The Jaguars are 2 spots above the Lakers. Like I just. And again, if the metric here is the best franchise in sports, I mean, I don't. I just don't get that.
Huh.
But anyway, so what? Let's pick a team like the Washington Wizards, which hits a little closer to home, right?
Yeah.
Look, I feel like both of us been when I lived in DC, and you currently, I feel like both of us have been in situations where it's like, hey, it's a Wednesday night. There's nothing for us to do. Do you wanna go to a Wizards game or something?
No.
And the answer is always like, $5. That's a lot. We gotta
like movie right next door.
Yeah, And what we gotta transfer
You
at
know,
like
the sad
Lafont?
thing about the
Come on.
Wizards is that their biggest competition is the movie theater next
It is.
door.
It
Because
really is.
it's like the same price to go to a movie as it is to go to Wizards games. It's like, I could go see the Wizards lose, or I could go see Harold and Kumar. Like,
Yeah, again.
yeah,
Like
in 3D.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty sad. And the thing is, like that like the arena, like the Chinatown area where the arena is great. Like I love going there.
Yeah, there's
There's
tons
great
of bars.
Yeah, it's great stuff. You got a Rocket Bar across the street. You got
You can get pho.
Yeah, you got pho. You got what's the one place with the downstairs with the shuffleboard on Seventh?
Oh, Iron Horse.
Yeah, Iron Horse. Right, you got all these great places.
You got barbecue
But
food. Hill
oh man, you
Country.
got Hill Country. Shit. But
Yeah,
this is the
it's
thing.
tough.
But this is the thing. I feel like once you get into that neighborhood, it's like, oh god, like, do I really want to sit through a Wizards game when I can just go stuff my face at Hill Country and then get loaded at Iron Horse? The answer is no.
The
And
Wizards
like,
should do dollar beers, or
yeah,
even $3 beers.
yeah. Like they
They
should
would
do
get
something.
so many more people in there if they did $3 beers.
I went to a Wizards game last year. It was Wizards Bulls, and it was like a not even like a Bulls home game. It was like a Bulls home preseason game. So it was like a quarter full. Like nobody was really paying attention unless like the Bulls did something. Ironically enough, the Bulls lost. Right, like the Wizards actually ended up winning, but there was nobody there to actually cheer them on. It was very very strange.
The other weird
Uh,
thing the Wizards do is if there's empty seats in your section in front of you, they are like strict about you being in your seat.
yeah,
So like if I'm in row like 40 and 39 rows ahead of me are empty, I can't move to row 5.
no,
Makes no sense.
no, they freak out. It's not like a baseball game where it's just like yeah whatever.
Yeah.
So, um, well let's wrap this up. Any well I guess the big question here. Do you agree with Memphis being number one?
No, not really.
Who in your mind is like
I
the
mean,
best sports franchise?
unless the author of this article went to every single franchise and got to do the fan experience, and even then, they're not a season ticket holder
Yeah.
or like polled season ticket holders. I mean, I just don't think there's a good way to do it. But I mean, I don't know. I think in my mind, I would put Oklahoma City up there. They just seem like a great, well-run organization, and they're new and still exciting and winning. Memphis is doing well, but Memphis is that team that just like I don't know. You kind of feel like they're not gonna be Memphis for that. They're not gonna be like that good for that long.
Yeah.
I just don't think the
I
NBA is big enough. Also, like is it's big enough, but like people aren't passionate. They aren't like passionate NBA fans. Every other sport has passionate fans.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen some passionate NBA fans. Like I have friends from the Boston area that are very very passionate Boston Celtics fans. But like there's a huge drop off I think between like Celtics and maybe Lakers and Bulls fans and like the older franchises, and then everyone else. I don't know. I mean, like real quick, and we'll move on. I think, I mean, in my mind, the Packers just seem like a common sense best franchise. Yo.
Hey, how'd you feel those 2 minutes while I was gone?
Well, I kept talking, and then
Nice.
I stopped talking. Um,
So Windows 8 is awesome because it doesn't tell you that you have no battery left,
nice.
and then your computer just goes black. So,
Well,
yeah.
that's fucking sweet.
Yeah. So you were saying you had one more thing. You probably already said it. Did you tell people to tweet us who they think the best and the worst franchises are?
No, I didn't. I was saying what I think the best and worst franchises are, but I did not do that other thing.
So who? So like I said, I think Oklahoma City could be up there. I think it's either got to be a baseball or a football team though. I think that's where you have the most passionate fans. Um,
Yeah,
I guess if you're going just by fan experience, I mean, what like Seattle Seahawks has got to be up there.
I mean the Seattle Sounders have to be up there. Like, I don't know, whatever. I'm off of that. I mean, it's also like the New York Yankees are 87th. That to me is just crazy. Um,
I think they were just trying to drum up people talking about them. And also, this was probably written by like Stephen A. Smith based on the amount of NBA teams at the top.
or I was going to say, based on the fact that the Sacramento Kings are dead last, and Bill Simmons hates the Sacramento Kings, very well could also be Bill Simmons.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think, I mean, I personally think that if you had to, list a best franchise in the country on those four sports, I personally think it's the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. And I think worse has got to be Jacksonville Jaguars. If your team is constantly in the discussion for move this team to London, move this team to LA,
Yeah.
it's got to be somebody else.
Well, and beyond that, I mean, they just.
I guess the Kings are often talked about to move them too, though. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the Jags too is like there's, and the Kings as well. Like they don't even have like a they don't have a brand, right? Like there's no history there. Like you think about even a team like the Lions, right? Like you could think about like the Barry Sanders era, or even like the Night Train Lane era. Like the Cubs have like an odd, stupid nostalgia about them. Like like even the Wizards have something that like you can like look back on. But I mean, the Jags, like, there's no glory days, and I guess when Mark Brunell was there, but
like, didn't they make the playoffs their like first year or something like that?
yeah, I guess, but like I don't know, like when Mark Brunell is like the face of your franchise, that's pretty freaking pathetic.
I mean, we've talked about it before, but I think we talk about Tebow a lot. The Jags is the only team. It would just make like, why wouldn't they just sign Tebow?
Yeah, and to be honest, like even if you just made him an H back,
Yeah, put him at
just pay
fullback,
him.
like whatever you want to put him at. Like make him assistant coach.
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna sell 50 more tickets, 100 more tickets at the minimum per game because you have Tebow, and probably way more than that.
yeah, oh totally.
So
I don't know.
why not?
I don't really get it. So
And that's your
um,
Tebow update for
yeah,
a couple months until he
yeah,
signs with the Jags.
and you can use the hashtag Tebow update if you're still with us, or you could tweet us at Natty Brohs. Tell us what you think about this list. Tell us what you think your most valuable and least valuable franchise is, and we will we'll share those on the next podcast.
Yeah, or something.
Yeah, or not, or we might just forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah. Well, you want to move on? I think we've beaten.
I think
this
we've
dead horse.
sufficiently covered this.
Yeah. Yeah, we've covered the spread.
Yeah. Also, covering the spread needs to be the title of our Bread Spreads podcast that we always talk about doing.
Oh God, I put together the rundown for that. I'm ready to do that whenever. You can wake me up in the middle of the night. You can wake me up at like 4 a.m. and say Anthony Bread Spreads podcast. I'd be like, all right, let's do it. Let's get it done.
Bread spreads.
I've got a 10-minute rant on hummus. I'm just waiting to unleash.
Oh man, someday. That's why you need to be subscribed on iTunes and on YouTube, so that you never miss a Natty Bros podcast.
Yeah. So,
And you
so
can find all of your subscription areas that you can subscribe to us. I can't talk right now. You can find all the areas where you can subscribe to us at nattybros.com/about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're a Canadian listener, a boot. All right.
Very nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so do you want to go into bro and foe here, or do you want to?
Yeah, let's do a little bro and foe. You know, football
right.
season is now 3 weeks over. How so far? What grade would you give yourself in fantasy football so far?
Let's say a C plus, maybe a B minus.
Aren't you 3-0?
I'm 2-1.
Oh, did you lose? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
big.
I did. I'm really rather disappointing season so far for Arian Foster, but it is what it is. Also, the fact that Reggie Bush was injured last week really put a damper on my strategy.
Should we tell people the trade I offered you and let them weigh in?
Yeah. Let's do that. So there was an offer trade. You have Victor Cruz, I have Reggie Bush, and you offered a straight up swap.
1-for-1. I am in need of running backs. And Reggie Bush, you seem like you have a lot of good running backs.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in need of wide receivers. I need to see what happens with Vincent Jackson this week because he's questionable going into Sunday.
Mm.
All right, actually, you know what? Let's talk about something real quick. Is there a game on right now? No, there's a game on tomorrow, right? It's Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I'm not ready for football yet. I'm not ready for football tomorrow, right? Football just happened 2 days ago, and then you know what? Now I got to think again about my fantasy football team.
And if you're in a survival pool, your pickle. I mean, you have to do all that stuff Tuesday.
I'm not. I have no idea what's going to happen with some of my players between now and Sunday. Injury wise, especially later on in the season, when look, a lot of these guys are going to get more and more injured, right? And a lot of these coaches are going to hold that questionable label over them or probable. Didn't they not start Thursday Night Football until week 8, when they first started it? It was they would drop it in the middle of the season.
Yeah, and I don't really like Thursday Night Football. It's kind of nice to have something on Thursday to watch, but I don't really need it. It comes really quickly. We already we're seeing injuries, and not because of Thursday Night Football, but I'm sure rushing players to a game 4 days later is not helpful for players that are playing a slight injury.
No.
And I've heard Bill Simmons has proposed if they're going to do it, then they should extend the season by a week, give every team 2 bye weeks, and then anybody who plays on Thursday gets the week off before, so they're not playing 4 days later.
Yeah,
I like that, but I think what's a better solution? Scrap the Thursday Night Football. Make every Monday Night Football doubleheader like we had at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. They're obviously making money on Thursday Night Football, so they're not going to scrap it.
No.
Right? But it's just first of all, I don't have NFL Network, so I can't even watch it. And there's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of sports bars where I live. So it's not like I can just saunter on down to the sports bar and watch it, watch the game. And frankly, it's the middle of the week. I often have work stuff on a Thursday night, and especially if you're on the West Coast, which is one of the things that's on the rundown here to talk about is watching football on in Pacific time. If a game starts at 5:30 on a Thursday, you know where I am? I'm at work. Right, and odds are I'm going to be at work for the next 2 hours or 3. So, that's really difficult for me to catch up on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I just don't really like Thursday night football. I mean, the games are never very good. They're usually pretty sloppy. From a fantasy perspective, you just kind of you just can't really count on anybody on Thursday night.
No.
So I mean, Brendan's got a theory. He won't play anybody on Thursday nights if he can help it, except maybe a defense because it's going to be a sloppy game.
Yeah, or a guy like Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, if you have your must starts.
Yeah, but yeah, if you have a guy that you're iffy on, there's no reason.
What we were going to talk about like what 3-0 and 0-3 teams we think are good and bad. That's kind of boring. Watch ESPN if you want to hear that.
Yeah.
What team are you kind of all in on this year? Like, what random team are you all in on this year?
I'm going to say this for consistency's sake. I said at the beginning of the season when we did our preview that I'm pretty sure I said that I thought the Broncos were going to win. I just kind of feel like Peyton Manning has this I need to win another Super Bowl before my neck falls off mentality. And he's going to move he's going to move mountains to make that happen. At some point they get Von Miller back or they get
I don't know if Von Miller's coming back. He seems like he's in a lot of controversy.
Oh really? See, yeah. I mean again
he cheated on a drug test, I think.
Well, nuts. I feel like either way, they are in a really good position, and they have a quarterback who's just dominant right now.
What random team are you just enjoying watching? Is there, so the Broncos are your all-in team, and I agree. I think they look like the best team in football right now. Is there a team you're just enjoying watching?
To tell you the truth, when the couple games I watched the Lions when Reggie Bush is on the field, and I hate Reggie Bush. I mean, he's probably my least liked NFL player, just because I still harbor a lot of resentment from the Bush push when he was at USC.
Yeah.
But I mean, he gives an extra. Well, I mean, look, now it's going to be interesting because you have an injured Reggie Bush, and now you have you have a guy Nate Burleson who I don't know how long it takes to come back from a broken arm, but probably a little while.
He's out, I think, for the whole season because they used their one injured reserve designation to come back tag on somebody else already. So I don't think he's coming back. I think this is the end of his career. He's pretty old. And we'll get into the Nate Burleson story because it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty freaking stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just gonna. I'm really curious to see how the Lions end up, especially if Bush is out this week. I'm curious to see how they're gonna compensate for losing another weapon.
So I mean, that's a huge game for them against the Bears.
Yeah. And obviously, if they're gonna have a real shit offensive game, I hope it's against the Bears. But it's just gonna be very fascinating to see how they do. I mean, look, the Bears also look phenomenal. They looked great against the Steelers. Now, granted, the Steelers look awful right now. But, I mean, when was the last time you saw a Bears team score 40 points? It just doesn't really happen.
But two of the scores were on defense, right?
It's still 7 points.
No, it is.
So, I mean, it's just there was a lot of doubt about the Bears defense going into this year with Urlacher being gone and all that other stuff. But they look good.
Yeah.
So, I would say the Broncos and the Bears.
Yeah,
what about you?
I've been, and I like watching the Lions now because they're not under 500 right now, which makes you sound like a horrible fan. But I've dealt with so much from the Lions. It's just time, bandwidth, whatever.
Yeah.
I like watching teams with a lot of my fantasy players on there. So the Saints and the Seahawks. I've been digging both of those teams, and they're doing well. But the team that surprisingly I'm just enjoying watching is the Raiders. And I just like watching Terrell Pryor. He's like Tebow with an arm. And he's just been fun to watch. I've watched the Raiders on Monday night. I mean, they're not good. They've been playing pretty bad, but I don't know, they're just a fun team to watch. I would have thought the Eagles would have been that team, but they're just like sloppy. They're like a high school team with like a couple really good players that's just like completely
Yeah.
undisciplined, and you know they're all going to be injured by like week 8. Like Vic is going to be injured, McCoy is going to be injured by midway through the season.
Yeah, and to be honest with me, I haven't really watched the Eagles this year, but I mean, I definitely feel like they have to win now and win a lot of games, and just kind of hope that they can scrounge up enough wins later on to kind of to even things out.
Yeah.
So, um, you know what? So okay. So we've got the teams that you like watching the most. What are some of your biggest surprises so far now that we're going into week 4?
I mean, a couple of these 0-3 teams, the Giants, and I mean, really the whole NFC East. How bad the NFC East has been. I didn't think the Eagles were going to be this good. Were going to be good, but I didn't think they'd be this bad. The Giants getting trounced 38-0 last week by Carolina. And RG3 just was rushed. Clearly, RG3 is not ready. I went to the Redskins game last week. He's not the same player.
No, he's not. And look, I understand that like Adidas had like this whole like all in for week 1, and he's like hyper competitive and stuff. But like, dude, you can wait a little bit. Like you've only gone through 1 year in the NFL. You're a franchise quarterback. What that means is that you're expected to be the face of the franchise for multiple years. Right?
He also got the injury because he rushed himself back out onto the field during that game. He wouldn't admit he was hurt.
So I don't know. I mean, to some extent, I think you have to blame RG3. To some extent, the coaching staff has to put their foot down and say, look, we are not going to let you come in. And if you have a problem with that, well, that's tough. You know why? Because you're playing on our team. We need you not broken.
Yeah.
So you know what? You're going to play when you're ready to play, when our doctors say you're ready to play. And oh, by the way, we have a capable backup who can come in and at least manage a ball game.
Yeah. And that team has a lot of other issues too. Their defense is not good.
Their defense is absurd. Their defense is just absurdly horrible.
Another surprise for me this year is Trent Richardson being traded to the Colts. In his second year in the league, they already traded him.
I think, yeah, I don't, I don't really know how this making it to the rundown, because I was shocked when this happened. The thing that I thought was most interesting about this trade was how it was announced. Do you follow Jim Irsay on Twitter by any chance?
No, but I heard there was something with him on Twitter.
He teased it. First of all, follow him on Twitter. Everyone follow Jim Irsay on Twitter. He's insane. Like if you didn't know this guy was an owner of an NFL team, you would think that he's like your crazy uncle that just like says random shit at the dinner table and then like it just makes everything uncomfortable. It was crazy, but like he was like, I don't know, I can't even like paraphrase what he said, but I forget what I was reading, but I feel like somebody made a good point that have we gotten to the point where like the difference between running backs, like top 5, and then like in the 3rd round is so negligible. Like Sean McCoy was a 3rd round pick, right? And when you have multiple running back schemes, when you have teams that are they have 2 running backs, do you really need to spend a first 5 pick on a running back when you can wait to the 2nd or 3rd round and just platoon that guy with somebody else and hope it works?
Yeah, it sucks if you're a fantasy owner, but it's good for a team.
Yeah.
I have Monty Ball in fantasy, and he's been horrible because there's 3 running backs. You don't know who the ball's going to.
Yeah, it's very Mike Shanahan right now in Denver.
And you're seeing it on a lot of teams, and you're seeing even with Trent Richardson on the Colts, Ahmad Bradshaw's still getting a lot of carries.
Yeah, and actually making the most of those carries.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. I mean, I think it puts a lot more pressure on the quarterback position because I feel like if you're an NFL running back, well, anyway, like it's just I there's I feel like running backs are now more interchangeable than quarterbacks are.
Yeah.
So
And a couple other things that I've heard that might be happening this year. I've heard Ben Tate might be getting traded to the Browns. Ben Tate, the backup on Houston, which would be good for you as the fantasy owner of Arian Foster.
Yeah.
It also sounds like Josh Freeman wants out of Tampa Bay, and they're not even going to play him this week. So, would a team like Minnesota or somebody who's having some quarterback problems, would they want Josh Freeman?
I mean, if you're a team like Jacksonville, why wouldn't you?
I feel like they have like 9 quarterbacks on the roster, but I guess they don't.
Yeah, but I mean, is Blaine Gabbert still starting? Like,
no, it's been the Chad Henne show.
Oh right, I'm so out of it. I don't know. I mean, Josh Freeman has completely tanked recently as well, and like it's not like you could say he doesn't have weapons around him. He has an incredible running back, right? He's got a top tier wide receiver in Vincent Jackson. Like, he has no excuses. He's just a shitty quarterback.
Yeah, but he does look like Bruno Mars.
Yeah, well, he does have that for him.
Yeah, he's got that,
I guess. So, well, let's touch on one more thing on football before we go to our third topic. A year ago we were sitting around the campfire over on K Street, doing our first Breaking Brews, I believe.
Yeah.
On the Fail Mary. The Seahawks Packers game, the botched replacement ref call. How long ago does that feel right now?
I can't decide if I feel like it's been like 2 years or like 6 months.
Yeah, it feels like a long time for me.
It does feel like a long time, but it also, I think because it doesn't feel like we've done that many podcasts, it doesn't feel like it's been a whole year. Like, when I look at it in terms of podcasts, it doesn't feel like it's been that long. But when I look at it in terms of football, I guess it's been a while.
I mean, even though we've done about 50 podcasts, which is about a year. I just, I think it's interesting. I think that's always going to be seen as the moment where the replacement refs, kind of back and forth came to a head, and we got the regular refs back.
Sure.
But yeah, no, we'll pour one out for the replacement refs tonight.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on the Natty Brohs website or listening on the Natty Brohs website, in our show notes at the bottom of the page, we often link to the stories we talk about, and we are linking to our original podcast about the Fail Mary, which we call Breaking Brews, Breaking Down Tategate.
Yeah,
and take a listen if you feel like taking a trip down memory lane and seeing what we were thinking less than 24 hours after the epic Monday Night Football Golden Tate fiasco.
It was rapid response at its finest. It really was.
It really was. It was great.
So let's let's mosey on down the trail. It's so weird because this is the first year that I've kind of purposely opted out of baseball in a long time. Out of fantasy and frankly real baseball. I didn't even realize that the Nationals had come back and possibly could have made the wild card until I don't know a few games into their run.
Yeah, I was at the game last week and I didn't realize they were so close. And somebody was like, "They're only 4 games back."
I was like, "Ah, wow." I mean,
lost a couple games and that was that.
Yeah, I mean, that's also what happens when the White Sox are having their worst season in I don't know since they threw the World Series. It's not good at all. But we're at the point now where the playoff picture is starting to shape up, and I would say the most interesting story out of this entire playoff picture is the LA Dodgers won while playing in Arizona. Arizona has a pool in their stadium, and afterwards they jumped in the pool to celebrate. Um, a little bit of a faux pas there. Do you agree with their celebration?
I thought it was funny, and I don't have a problem with it. They also did it after the fans had all left the stadium.
Yeah.
So it's not like they did it in front of the fans. I don't know. I guess there's some reports that have come out that they peed in the pool. I don't know if that's actually true.
Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, that doesn't exactly seem legit to me.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. I feel like that would be if the Redskins or the Eagles or the Giants clinched the NFC East in Dallas, and then they celebrated, you know, they celebrated on the Star, right? That doesn't make any that to me is just really, I don't know. It's just disrespectful. I just think it's bush league.
Well, if there's
Um,
sports karma, if there's a such thing as sports karma, they will lose because of that.
Yeah, and look, the Dodgers. Speaking of a team who went on a large run, I mean, the Dodgers have been without a doubt one of the big stories of the year. Um, but and look, if they win, they can look at all this money that they spent on players and say, hey, look, we did it, guys. We've justified spending hundreds of millions of dollars on contracts.
Yeah.
So
And their best player isn't even one of their huge contracts.
yeah, right.
What's it,
I mean,
Puig?
yeah, you saw Puig. So, I mean, coincidentally enough, I mean, a little ways down the road, the Los Angeles Angels, who also invested a lot of money in big contracts, and Albert Pujols and Josh Hamilton, um, they're going to be lucky if they break even. So I think they're right now 2 games below 500. But
And a little bit of breaking news on here. The
uh-oh.
Yankees either lost or the team in front of them won. They have been eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah.
I just got an ESPN alert about that.
Yeah. Also, did you know Todd Helton was still playing baseball?
Yeah, I think this is his last year, and he got a Mustang. Is that what I saw?
That's crazy. He. So I guess he just played his last game. He went 2 for 3, a home run, a double, and 3 RBIs. God, that's
Todd.
insane. Todd.
Yeah, Todd with a T.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm excited for the playoffs. Are you gonna? I mean, your teams aren't in it, but are you gonna watch? Do you think?
I want to say absolutely I'm going to watch. And, I'll watch some. And obviously I'll watch the World Series. Yeah, you can't not watch the World Series.
Right.
But this is the thing. There's a lot of soccer that's played over the course of the week. It's kind of my priority. This weekend, Spurs play Chelsea.
It's true. Isn't that a 7 a.m. game Eastern time?
It very well might be.
I think on my calendar it says 7 a.m.
But I'm getting up for that game, right? I can't not watch that game, even though I have a horrible feeling about it.
You were getting up, my friend, at 4:45 a.m. to watch that.
Whatever.
Game.
It's Spurs Chelsea. I have to do it. I know way too many Chelsea fans who are going to be tweeting and texting me. So, I want to say that I'm going to invest the time in the playoffs, but I'm not going to make any promises. I mean, obviously, you're going to watch the Tigers with great intensity.
Yeah, I am, and the problem is I'm being invited to things next week after work, and I can't commit to anything because I don't know what the playoff schedule is going to look like.
Yeah,
but they're most likely, if they can win tonight, or if win one of their next 4 games, or if the Indians can just lose one game, the Tigers will win the division. If they don't win the division, it'll be a pretty huge failure since they've been in the lead the whole year. So
yeah, they're up 4 games. right
Yeah, their
now.
magic number is 1 to clinch the division, and Cleveland
Yeah.
won that already. So all the Tigers need to do is hold on to the 1-0 lead that they have right now, and they'll be fine. And for some reason, they just keep screwing it up.
It's a good thing that closing pitching has always been your
That's our thing.
yeah, has always been your strength.
The other thing I'm really interested in is
God,
three teams
I mean, this
from
is the
the
first
NL
time
Central.
I've looked at this time. Man, the White Sox. Ugh. Woof. Woof. We're going to have a worse record than the Cubs. That's not good. Anyway. Well, let's...
I'm interested to see what happens with 3 teams from the same division all making the playoffs. You got Cincy, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis all making the playoffs.
I'll tell you what. I would love to see Pittsburgh win it all. For your sake, whatever. If Tigers win it, like and you and a lot of my other friends are happy, then great. Kind of would like to see a scrappy Pittsburgh Pirates team go all the way. Like, I think it'd be fun. I don't know. Why not? YOLO.
Yeah.
So forth.
And I feel like everybody in America will be pulling for the Pirates. So I hope they get eliminated in the first round.
So you don't have to hear a bunch of bandwagon Pirates fans.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, should we mix it up?
Yeah. Let's mix it on up. I think it's time for mixed case. God, this one. This first story I saw today, and I saw a bunch of different people, tweet and Facebook post about it. I'll just set it up. So there's a New York Post article about a woman who has this website 300 Sandwiches, which I don't think is even up anymore. I'm trying to pull it up quick. Oh yeah, no, there it is, and this is the quote unquote mission. My boyfriend E is obsessed with 2 things: Star Wars and sandwiches. She's dating Brendan. That's fascinating. During a Sunday lunchtime viewing of Return of the Jedi, he told me, "You were 300 sandwiches away from the engagement ring." So I got cooking. So this is the thing, and you look through the, you read through the article, which if you haven't read the article, it's incredibly fascinating. It starts off, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but my boyfriend Eric is the gourmet cook in our relationship, but he'd always want me to make him a sandwich. Let's stop right there.
It sounds like an Onion article, right? Like that sounds like an Onion article.
It really is. Like, each morning he would ask, "Honey, how long have you been awake?" "About 15 minutes," I'd reply. "You've been up for 15 minutes and you haven't made me a sandwich?" Wow.
How is this guy? It's just a very attractive woman.
Oh yeah, no, there's there are multiple Natty Brohs After Dark things that I would say about this woman. They're like, what the hell are you doing, for crying out loud? First of all, Eric, if you're really the gourmet cook in the relationship, make your own damn sandwiches. I think
sandwiches aren't even hard to make.
No.
That's why the make me a sandwich thing that the running joke you hear, it's not like you're saying make me a souffle, right?
Yeah, right. I would like for you to make a full Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah.
This isn't. This isn't something that requires a lot of time and energy.
So
you know what, Jack?
Bread, meat, and mustard of some kind.
Yeah.
Or something.
Right. I mean, again, if you haven't already, feel free to go back to our archives. Look, we spent a lot of time defining sandwiches. Go back. I would encourage everybody to listen. But I'm going to ask this question. Because I think it bears asking. If you were Eric, right? If you were transported in Eric's body, right? And you got to ask for one sandwich, what would the sandwich be?
I mean, like, clearly I'm going to say... Okay, actually, I'm going to change it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a turkey Reuben with
Ooh.
coleslaw instead of sauerkraut.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I don't want to just tell you what you expect. I would say.
Yeah, and obviously, the Reuben being the holy grail of sandwiches. I mean, this is why I think that the sandwich would have to be something a bit more intricate, right? Because if she is trying to prove that she, like, her worth is tied to her sandwich making ability, which is absurd. Like wouldn't you want her to try something a bit, I don't know, like, intricate? Like, you can easily screw up a Reuben.
So what are
Well,
you proposing? You're proposing a Reuben? Proposing, it's probably the operative word
yeah,
here.
yeah. I mean, I'm saying something like a Reuben, or I mean, I feel like like a homemade banh mi, right?
Pickled vegetables and all.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Oh.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll have your sandwich ready for you in about 2 weeks after the vegetables are done pickling, and after I end up finding a way to slaughter a pig and to make pork pate.
I'd like to change my answer.
Okay.
Based on your definition, I think you're right. It does need to be a sandwich that is a little bit more intricate and hard to make.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the surf and turf sandwich.
Ooh.
So, get a lobster, make the lobster, get a steak, make the steak, and then do all the rest of the
bread.
Yeah.
So if let's say the roles were reversed. Let's say that there was someone
the roles were reversed.
Oh man. High five. God, if we have any listeners at this point, I'm going to be shocked. And let's say that situation were backwards, and there was somebody that you were head over heels for, and you were like, I'm gonna, okay, 300 sandwiches. What would your first sandwich be? What would your opening salvo be?
I feel like my opening would be something that's just in the fridge already. So probably turkey, wheat bread, a little mustard, maybe some peppers.
See, I would I don't know. I feel like I do something a little refreshing. Maybe like a tomato basil mozzarella on like a caprese sandwich. I know. Look, I know it's a tier 2. It may have even have been a tier 3, but especially if it's summer, I think I'd go with that. Again, something relatively easy, but still a little out of the ordinary, right? So like I wouldn't go egg salad. Like that's you hit that one in like number 160, right? Where you're hitting your stride,
Confident.
right? And at that point you're just going through the paces. I think early on you go good sandwiches that are still a little out of the ordinary. I would avoid deli sandwiches for the first maybe 15.
Well, I'll have to
me.
look at 300 Sandwich Lady's blog, and I hope she makes a lot of like "We Are Spartans," 300 jokes as well. There's a lot of ways she could do this, so let's see how creative she was. But yeah, let us know what you thought of the 300 Sandwich Lady.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: if I see a frickin' burrito on this thing,
yeah,
like I'm coming after you, lady, and your dumbass boyfriend too. God. All right, let's move on.
I'll lead this one, as it is the mixed case, and this is where we talk about things that are not quite sports, more on the entertainment spectrum. I, of course, have to mention that Sunday night, 9 o'clock, 75 minutes, the last 75 minutes of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Brendan and I will be previewing it tomorrow night, live, here on YouTube and on the podcast.
Yep.
And I don't want to say a lot right now, but I will say, we talk about tier 1, tier 2, power rankings. Breaking Bad, unless they really screw the pooch on Sunday, which I don't think they will, this is the number one, the tier one, the Reuben, the overall number one seed in our TV show bracket, and just every aspect of it, and a piece of me will be dying when many characters die on Sunday.
So, I think before we do an all-time TV show, I mean, look, I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad.
I don't
Right?
think we can do an all-time TV show rankings, to tell you the truth.
No, I don't think so. We've talked about doing like an '80s rankings. We've like a '90s rankings. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I actually plan on starting to watch it after the finale.
You're in luck. They're all on Netflix except this last 8
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah. So I mean, I at least that's the plan. Now, whether or not I get to that, honestly,
Once you, I promise you, once you start, the first season is a little slow. You'll be hooked. By the second season, I don't think you'll be able to stop watching it.
it's really tough for me. The bar is real. And look, I'm sure it's an incredible show. I'm sure it's an absolutely incredible show. But to be honest, like, I don't really watch a lot of TV shows in whole. And frankly, the reason is just because it's bandwidth. It's what we talk about all the time. And I wish I had the time.
It's a time commitment, and that's why I don't think we could ever do a TV show rankings, a TV show tournament, because A, everybody has their show, which is their favorite.
Yeah.
And B, so like, how many of these top tier shows that neither of us have seen, The Wire or Dexter,
Yeah.
Mad Men, Downton Abbey, these shows that are on people's top 5 lists, top 10 lists that we haven't seen. So in order to actually appropriately do the power rankings, we'd have to go back through and watch all of these old shows. And by the time we were done watching all these old shows, there would be new shows which had already come out.
Yeah.
House of Cards, Orange is the New Black.
Well, I
Which is-
mean,
You
shit.
just have to choose which ones you're going to watch.
I mean, we tried to watch Cheers, right? Which isn't a drama, but we when I was still in DC, we tried to watch Cheers, and that was an endeavor. Like
11 seasons of 30 episodes each, or something.
yeah, it's insane. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, again, this is where having a like a pop culture personal trainer would really come in handy.
The thing with Breaking Bad is, and people probably would say this about The Wire too, because I feel like that's the other one that people say is the best show of all time. Either a lot of people say Breaking Bad or The Wire. Those are really the two that you hear. The thing with Breaking Bad is there's so much detail, and in these last episodes, they're calling back to details from throughout the series. And I was watching some season 1 episodes last night, and you can actually see set up in season 1 episodes for later things that happen, and like they've known where they want to go with this from the first episode.
Yeah.
And there's so much detail. Like, you couldn't have, the media personal trainer come in and tell you about Breaking Bad or teach you, like give you a crash course on what happened in Breaking Bad without just watching it.
Yeah.
And I have a friend who he was caught up on Breaking Bad until this last season, and I would ask him on Mondays. I'll say, "Oh, have you watched a new episode of Breaking Bad?" And he'll say, "Oh no, I didn't watch it, but I read the recap of it." And it like infuriated me that he did that. Because he's doing himself such a disservice. Like, you're not going to watch it, just don't watch it. But don't, and it's going to be hard, like, on Sunday. You're probably not going to be able to avoid spoilers when they happen. Like, something's going to happen, you're going to hear about it. But to the extent that you can avoid it and then just watch it, it's very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
And you'll hear more about Breaking Bad tomorrow. You hear a whole hour at least about Breaking Bad.
Yeah. So tune in and tell your friends.
The 5 most essential Breaking Bad episodes.
I think that's a fantastic idea. Let's move on to one of the big things that's happened in the last week or so has been the new operating system for iPhones. So a lot of talk about technology and social media, and Louis C.K. Was on the Jimmy Fallon show.
He was on Conan, I think, when he did this.
Oh, you're right. He was on Conan. I didn't see the Jimmy Fallon rant about it.
So there's two stories that happened. I put them as the same as one item. So last week Louis C.K. was on Conan and went on a whole rant about smartphones and how smartphones were horrible and how we're losing connections with people. We're not talking to people. We're not looking people in the eye. His big thing was we have no empathy anymore because we're always tweeting things, and he says when you text somebody an insult, you don't see what it does to them. And like he had some points.
Yeah.
But like he goes on the anti-technology rant, and it's like, okay, yeah, we lose some connection with people, whatever you want to say. You're on the other side of the country, and you and I are looking face to face at each other and having at least an hour conversation that then other friends of ours that live in other parts of the country can then listen to and interact with. So don't tell me that technology is making us lose connections. It helps us gain connections more efficiently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how? Like, if it weren't for Google Hangout, like, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
Right.
And we can talk on the phone, but we can't, like, oh, you got a haircut, oh, cool shirt. Like, we can't actually see each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And plus, like, I mean, talking on the phone also has a level of, like impersonality to it, right? I mean, like, I can't look you in the eye when I'm talking to you on the phone. Like, I can read voice inflection, but like that's like half of it.
Right. And my big problem with this is I saw people, for both of these stories, we'll get into the second one in a minute. For both of these stories, I saw people sharing these on social media, sharing these on Facebook and Twitter, acting like they're above this, they're high and mighty, they're oh, technology is bad, whatever. And how many of those people do you think are sharing this article from their smartphone?
Probably a lot.
And if they're not sharing it from their smartphone because like they're bitter that they have not a smartphone, like I feel that a lot of non-smartphone people are like say they're anti-smartphone, but it's only because like they don't have one and they're jealous. But then so they're posting it to Facebook and Twitter, and people are commenting and liking it from their smartphone and interacting with this post from their smartphone. So like anti-technology people drive me crazy. And that was one in particular that I wanted to rant about.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I mean, the irony is if you feel that way, you probably didn't see the video to begin with because you're not on Facebook or Twitter.
Exactly.
So,
and if you are, like, don't share it. You're missing the point.
Yeah.
So
without a doubt.
The other story that I want to touch on is one from last night. So Jimmy Fallon has him and Justin Timberlake have been doing a Tuesday feature every week called, I think it's called like hashtag something Tuesday, or maybe it's called hashtag Tuesday, and it's an actual hashtag. And they did a skit last night making fun of people who say hashtag. So like you're in a conversation, you make a joke and you say hashtag whatever, hashtag Natty Brohs or something like that.
Yeah.
And they did this whole ridiculous clip that, like, I actually find Jimmy Fallon pretty funny most of the time. I think his skits are good.
Yeah.
But I thought this was absurdly annoying. It was just, like, they were, like, eating cookies, and Justin Timberlake would be like, hashtag I'm eating a cookie. Hashtag you're eating a cookie. And then Jimmy Fallon would be like, hashtag thanks for the cookie. And it was just, like, all they would do is just say the word hashtag over and over again.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like a commentary on hashtags. But again, the problem I have with this is Jimmy Fallon posts this with a hashtag like Fallon Mono or hashtag Tuesday or whatever he's doing. He's promoting it using hashtags, and every one of his posts has a hashtag in it. So which one is it? Are you anti-hashtag, or are you just making this to try to be funny? It didn't work. And then the bigger problem I have is the people who share it on social media and are complaining about social media on social media.
Yeah, I think it's very easy on social media to rant and rave, and I think sometimes the self-loathing social media users, just kind of go off without really thinking about it. But I mean, again, look, it's a platform that allows people to act without really thinking,
Yeah,
right? So I
true.
mean, you're gonna get that.
Yeah, I just, both of these I find very hypocritical, and I will defend technology and social media as long as I live. So
Yes.
challenge me on that. Try to.
All right. Let's let's move on to something a little bit more positive. So another JT Jimmy Fallon skit. They did like mock like touchdown celebration dances. Um, and Fallon challenged NFL players that if they did one, he would match their fine to go to a charity of their choice. Well, one of your Detroit Lions stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, rookie tight end Joseph Fourier, who's caught like 2 touchdowns. Might be a fantasy sleeper for some of you.
Yeah.
He caught a touchdown at the Redskins game I was at the other day. And when he caught it, he did the Jimmy Fallon NSYNC "Bye Bye Bye" dance, which I didn't even know. I didn't even see him do it. I didn't realize that's what he did.
Yeah, I mean he kind of like half-assed it, but I guess it was enough.
It was like almost the same dance they did in the video. It was pretty impressive to me.
Yeah.
Uh, and he didn't get fined, I don't think.
No, he didn't. But Fallon ended up kind of giving him a tip of the hat and donating $10,000 to the Make a Wish Foundation.
Make a Wish Foundation of Michigan, I think.
Yeah.
Or Make a Wish Foundation of Detroit. So,
yeah.
Classy move by Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
I know you and I have talked about it a little bit. You are not as big of a Jimmy Fallon fan as I am, and maybe we'll save that for another podcast. But I think Jimmy Fallon is the quote unquote king of late night right now.
Yeah, I mean he does a good job of staying relevant, right? And even if you don't find his opening monologues at all funny, he does the viral thing better than anybody else. So.
Yeah, my coworker Beth, we share Jimmy Fallon videos a lot back and forth, and she always says Jimmy Fallon understands social media better than any of the other late night hosts, and I think that's true.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think that's there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and I think one of the things he does, if you notice, when he posts videos to Facebook, it's not early in the morning. It's not 9 a.m. It's like 10:30, right when you start getting kind of sick of being at work and you need something to take your mind off of work. That's when he posts that stuff, and I think it's great timing by him.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's he clearly has people doing this for him that know when his target demographic needs that that 3-minute YouTube fix. So,
yeah. We'll get into the late night stuff another time. Maybe around the time when he takes over the Tonight Show.
Exactly. Well, let's finish this up. Let's close up the empties here. It's time for the chug.
Chug it up. Go.
So there's an interesting Deadspin article that the Heat and the Knicks are going to wear nickname jerseys.
Heat and the Nets.
The Nets, that's right. For at least one of their matchups. Do you think that this is going to be kind of an anomaly, or do you think that we're going to see this actually become a thing?
Oh, I think it's actually going to become a thing. It's going to be like the Latin nights that they do, where they do like Los Spurs and Los Lakers.
Yeah.
And I think it's really stupid. You're going to see LeBron James play in a jersey that says King James. You're going to see Dwayne Wade play in a jersey that says D Wade. Do we really need that?
No.
I don't think so. Is it a smart move by the NBA? Sure. Because everybody who's already a LeBron James fan already has a LeBron James jersey. But by making these jerseys that say King James on them, and they can be special edition jerseys just for this game, they can charge 20% more. And a bunch of people are going to buy new LeBron James jerseys.
Oh yeah, I mean it's absolutely brilliant. I just I don't know. To me it just smacks of desperation.
It continues to separate the NBA from other leagues, where it just doesn't feel like the NFL feels broad. It feels like anybody will like and watch the NFL. The NBA feels more and more niche every year, and by doing this, you're just excluding. a 70-year-old person who might be a Miami Heat fan, like they're gonna think this is incredibly stupid.
Yeah, it also feels again it, it feels like there's less and less an emphasis on the community, right? Like you think about again, and I'll focus on soccer because I mean, obviously it's the sport I invest the most time in, but you know, the games, the rivalry games aren't, hey, it's LeBron versus Kevin Durant, right? Like it's neighborhood versus neighborhood, right? It's fan base versus fan base. I just don't see that in the NBA, and I think it's stuff like this that continues that notion that the NBA is just it's a collection of superstars more than franchises or fan bases.
And breaking brews just happened. Tigers just
Uh-oh.
clinched the AL Central.
Yeah, I also follow Paul Setzer on Twitter.
Oh, I'm
So.
not on Twitter. I just saw the alert on my phone.
um,
Going back to the NBA nicknames real quick, my one last point. I don't know why they picked the Nets as the Heat's opponent. The Heat they should have definitely done, but I don't know why they didn't do a team with, why they didn't do the Oklahoma City Thunder. Do the two biggest stars. If you're trying to sell some jerseys, nobody's going to buy a Darren Williams jersey.
yeah, but I mean they're really trying to make Brooklyn happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I put on here StubHub buying tips.
Yeah,
Because I went to the Detroit Lions Washington Redskins game at FedEx Field last week, and I sat in pretty nice seats for pretty cheap. And the reason why is because our friend Paul, who you just brought up, got on StubHub early in the morning the day of the event, and the tickets were all reduced because StubHub has a ticket decline system where they reduce the tickets before the event, and then they reduce them fully the day of the event to help sell more tickets. You can choose this when you're selling tickets. So we got $85 tickets for $40 a piece to an NFL game.
yeah, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, the game that we went to, the playoff game, we got tickets on StubHub.
Yeah, and we got them the day of, and they were relatively inexpensive. So if you're looking to go to a game and you don't really care that much if you go, I would say wait until the day of the event and try to go. I think that's what with the Super Bowl, I might try to do that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, well, and look, especially if you live in one of these towns where if you live in a place that the fan base isn't regularly selling out games, and you want you want the NFL experience, check it out. Definitely check it out.
StubHub's also a great place to sell tickets, and we're not sponsored by StubHub, but we'd like to be. I sold a bunch of my MSU season tickets on there and made way more money than I would have selling them myself. Had to pay a little bit of fees, but it was super easy. You enter in the ticket number, and you don't even have to mail anything anymore. So
yeah.
StubHub, where fans buy and sell tickets.
Well, let's
Not
let's get to the last one here.
This combines our two favorite things: food and sports.
Yeah. Why don't you tee this up?
So we were just talking about the Lions. Let's continue. Nate Burleson last Sunday against the Redskins had a great game. He had lots of catches. I think he had like 100 yards. It was his best game of the season. Sunday night, I think it was Monday night after watching Monday Night Football, he was driving home from a friend's place, completely sober, had a slice of pizza or two in the passenger seat.
Oh, God.
The pizza fell off the seat, and just like any red-blooded American, his priorities shifted from driving the car to saving the pizza. So he reached over to try to grab the pizza, and his car went into the median. And he broke his arm 2 places. He's out for the season.
I mean, I was going to say, at least he wasn't high while doing this, which would be in true Detroit Lions fashion. But I'm not entirely sure he wasn't. Like, I mean, for blank's sake, man, like, I don't know. I have no words. I have no words there. That to me is just so insane.
So my question to you, Anthony.
Yeah.
What topping of pizza would it take for you to get into a car accident over pizza?
You would have to. you would have to put, although, and I have had this. I feel like a Reuben pizza, and I've had a Reuben pizza before, but I think a good Reuben pizza that might do it. That might be the thing that puts the pizza before my safety. But this is the thing. If I'm eating a Reuben pizza, there's no way that it comes out of that restaurant, right? I am going to eat it there, the whole thing. So
Well, some pizza places don't have seating.
you sit in the freaking parking lot. Why are you letting more than 5 minutes go without you eating this pizza? Like, your priorities are totally wrong, Nate. Like, and this is the thing. You're a grown-ass man. Get delivery. Like,
Maybe it was DiGiorno. That would actually be a great DiGiorno.
Well, I think that is as good of a place as anywhere to call it. Again, if you're not already, follow us on Twitter at Natty Brohs. Email us nattybrospodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website, nattybrohs.com, where you can find out a bit more about us at our brand new
On our About Us page.
At our About Us page. And tune in tomorrow. Breaking Bad Brews. We give you everything you need to know before the series finale of Breaking Bad. Zach, any final thoughts here?
Yeah, tune in next Wednesday for our fall movie preview, where we talk about Tom Hanks movies, George Clooney in space, Brad Pitt with long hair,
and Mac.
And Mac. Mac and
and
me.
Mac and me. And
And
me.
Mac and me and me.
And until then, YOLO.
YOLO.